All right, so I wanted to do a little story time to give y'all a little insight on what property managers may go through, but as well as give y'all some information on what may happen if you die in your apartment. Okay, so let's get started with the story. So for those of y'all who don't know, as well as doing real estate, I am also in the affordable housing world as a property manager, okay? And one day I was sitting in my office and I actually had a tenant in my office because I was doing a recertification appointment. They have to recertify every year. So then I get a knock on my door, and I usually don't like to open the door when I have somebody in my office, but I knew it was maintenance because I could see like outside. I have a glass door basically. So I was like, come in, and he was standing there with a nurse. It looked like she had on scrubs, and he kind of whispered. He was like, we're gonna call him Magic, okay, this tenant. And he was like, Magic is dead. Well, I don't even think he said Magic is dead. I think he was like, Magic, like that. And I was just like, what? Like, I knew what he was saying, but in my head, I was trying to think of which Magic, because we have multiple in our building. And so I was like, which one? And then they told me the unit number. I was like, oh, okay. And so they called not the police, but an emergency line, okay? And, you know, they were like, they're on the way. And by the time I finished up my appointment, I went out of my office to kind of see what was going on. And at the same time, y'all, literally, they was carrying this man down in a black body bag. And I could just see him on the stretcher, and they had him. And he was a very tall man. He at least like 6 something. He was really tall. And so they had him. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so crazy. Because I've had tenants pass away before, but that was the first time that it happened in their actual unit for me. Normally it's like they went to the hospital and they never came back. Okay, so fast forward, we get a call from the medical examiner's office. Now, every year when they recertify, we update their emergency contact list. And I would go back, and Magic never listed anybody on his emergency contact list. And that's kind of not unnormal. I do have some tenants that don't list anybody. They don't have any family or don't have anyone to put on there. And he just never listed anyone. So the medical examiner's office called, and they were like, well, we're just trying to check as well, you know, to see if he had an emergency contact or anybody we can contact. And we were just like, nope, he didn't have anyone. So if you pass away, well, where I live, okay, if you pass away in an apartment and you don't have a next of kin, what happens is the medical examiner's office reaches out to the public administrator's office, and the public administrator's office does their own kind of investigation. So with us, they'll give us a call and they'll be like, hey, you know, this person passed away. They didn't have any next of kin. So we're going to send somebody out to their unit, and they're going to search the unit basically to see if they had any like birth certificate, basically trying to find somebody or find anything of value that can help them. And so we have to wait on that process. So we can't touch the unit. We can't do anything with the unit until the public administrator's office releases the unit back to us. So with him, he didn't have any next of kin. They didn't find anything in the unit. And so we get a letter saying that, hey, we're going to release the apartment back to you guys so you can clear it out and do what you all need to do. So that is kind of the process. I have never really had anyone that passed away that actually had any animals, because I know that's an important thing. I've had one guy, he like went away, I don't want to say like rehab, but kind of like that. And then they reached out, was like, does he have any pets? And I was like, no. So that is the process. And it's very, I don't know, like before I had this job and went into this particular career path, I've never really seen death as much, but it just became kind of normal for me, which is crazy. And it's been times where I've had like tenants go to the hospital and I'm like, I asked, other staff, like, have y'all seen him, or her? And I'm like, no. So I'll start calling around. Like, I'll start calling medical examiners' offices just to see, like, hey, I'm just trying to see if y'all got my tenant over there. And, it's been one time I've called, like, the county that I was in, and they didn't have the person. So I was like, let me try another county. And then the other county did have the person. It was like, yeah, we're confirming it. And then sometimes, like I've had someone pass away and all of a sudden they had a family member come out of nowhere. And like I said, we update our contact list every year. So I'm like, he never listed this person, I don't know. So I'll contact the medical examiner's office and I'm like, do y'all have any next of kin or anything like that? And they'll let me know, even if the tenant didn't let us know as well. So that was kind of the process. But I will say, y'all, Magic, he was a real solid man. Paid his rent on time. Never gave me any issues. Them definitely the kind of tenants that I love. But RIP to him. Working in this line of field of line, y'all know what I'm trying to say there. It's really been an eye opener to certain things of how, like, I personally started preparing for the future.